I gotta go. And we are live. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Abel Perez.
I'm Stephanie Press.
And we are
the Married Loan Officers.
Well, babe, I'm so happy to be sitting right next to you again.
Back at the table.
Back at the table here.
We interviewed a couple of realtors on our own the last couple of weeks, which was cool.
Go check out that show. We had Alyssa Arredondo on talking about new construction. I had Chris Arias on last week, and he was talking about, his experience as a newer agent and how he infused all of his, coaching experience into the art of real estate. So really cool topics there. Again, go check those out. But babe, we're back together. What do we do? We talk?
Talk about
all right.
the mortgage world.
Yeah,
no,
for
so
sure.
Actually, I was wondering if you have a buyer scenario. We didn't talk about this beforehand, but do you have something?
Yeah,
you
so
share?
I'll jump into the borrow scenario, but just before you click away and we lose your interest here, you're going to want to stick around because I did have the opportunity earlier this week to interview a local brokerage, a couple of their agents and their team leader. And they're sharing some really cool information about listing homes, right?
Yes.
Homes that are on the market for sale. So we kind of dive into that. A lot of good tips if you're considering listing your home. So you're not going to want to miss that segment. But we'll jump in. I'll talk a little bit of numbers and things of that nature for you. Is that okay?
Yes. No.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So borrow scenarios. I had the opportunity to do some open houses this weekend, and open houses are always, very important for buyers. They're important for realtors. They're important for sellers. Right. It gives people the ability to walk through the house during an arranged amount of time and just at their own leisure, right?
Yeah.
I love being there, supporting my realtor partners because sometimes, you get a lot of people and it's very important to be able to assist answering questions and kind of like taking the load off of that realtor. So had the opportunity to do that. And we actually came across an investor. This individual is a newer investor. They don't have a wide portfolio of investment homes, but they do have a few. And so their purpose is not the old buy, flip, and sell. It's the buy, retain, and rent them out, right?
Oh, okay.
So they were looking at cash flow. Right now, with prices still very healthy on the market and interest rates, despite them coming down a bit, they're still relatively high in comparison to the last 5 years. Monthly payments are still lingering up there a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So that's at the forefront. And this investor was like, okay, well, how do I cash flow on this, right? And cash flow is basically turning a profit. Your mortgage is $2,000. You're collecting $2,500 in rent. You're cash flowing $500 minus whatever expenses to rent that home. So anyway, cash flow was on the forefront of importance for this individual. And I was able to tell him all about our all-in-one loan. And the reason why the all-in-one loan really caught their interest, they have a meeting with them later this week, but really just it was the perfect fit for them is because with our all-in-one loan, you have the same requirements, down payment, everything like that if you're a regular investor. But the only difference is your minimum down payment required is interest only. So this allows additional cash flow, especially during times like now where interest rates are a little bit higher and, we're still trying to figure out this whole inflation things and eggs are still super expensive, all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
It gives that flexibility. And on the other side of that, if you are not just paying interest, if you are paying towards the principal balance, most recipients of the all-in-one loan are finding themselves paying off their loan within 7 to 10 years. You're
That
not
makes a
obligated
huge
to do that.
difference, yeah.
You're not obligated to do that. It's still a 30-year loan, but the way this loan works, it just makes it to where you can pay it off much, much faster. And the kicker and bonus, and my favorite part, is that at any point, if you wanted access to 80% of the equity, you have access to it. It's there. Right?
That's a lot.
And so there's a lot of benefits to this. If you are an investor, consider this program. Reach out to me. I'd be happy to explain that information to you, get you the right details, and put you into the all-in-one loan. So that's my buyer scenario for the week.
Thank you. I'm glad you had a good weekend at the open houses.
Yeah, for sure. And there's my card and information. You can contact me. Give myself a little plug there.
Wait, it's hard on the camera.
It's there. All right. So cool. All right. Well, Steph, how's the week been for you? Good.
Been really good. Yeah, we actually got to interview with the Salazar Group last week. You talked about that, so let's jump into that.
We'll jump into that. Yeah. So we got some live interview that we had with them, Q&A style. And bear with us as we kind of navigate through the videos as we pop those up for you. We are doing well on the show. We'd like your support, so like and subscribe so we can generate more hype, more audience.
Yes.
And eventually we'll be to a point where we have a producer just standing right there, a whole team, cameras,
Doing it for
everybody
us.
doing all this stuff for us.
Just kidding.
But for now, it's just me and you.
It's just me and you.
So let's dive right in
okay.
to the interview. We talked with Sarah Turner, real estate agent Sarah Turner, and real estate agent and team leader of the Salazar Group, Alex Salazar. And they were kind enough to answer a bunch of our questions as we grow curious more and more on what the real estate side does, right?
Yeah.
Because we deal with buyers all of the time. Obviously, a home buyer is needing financing. And so as a lender, we're providing that support. We're giving them those consultations and all of that good stuff. Then the realtors come and do the fun stuff.
They
right?
do all the cool stuff. No.
It's fun, but it is very challenging. So shout out to all the realtors out there who are in that grind because showing homes, finding the right ones, meeting the needs of all of your clientele, super, super important. You are establishing home ownership and really just like a legacy for those individuals, right? Whether they're single individuals creating a legacy for themselves or families creating that legacy for generations to come. So again, shout out to you realtors. But anyway, so again, we talk with a lot of buyers all the time. So it was interesting talking about sellers,
the selling
right?
side of it.
The selling side of it, yeah. So I was kind of geeking out on this information with Alex and Sarah, and so right now, we're seeing a lot of inventory coming onto the market. That inventory being soaked up and still being bought. Days on market starting to extend a little bit, meaning homes are on the market a little bit longer, but we're talking about days. We're not talking about, months or years, which is a very good thing. Price is still relatively healthy. So one of the first questions I asked Sarah was, what should you do if you want to sell, right?
Yeah,
What's
and it's funny because as we were listening to her talk, I know we've sold a home before.
Yeah.
And I'm like, gosh, I don't remember anything about the first time that we sold our home. And I had asked Alex separately. I was like, do you remember? He's like, I don't know. I feel like I don't remember. I'm blacked out, because the processes, can be a little bit much. But I really don't remember much about selling our first home.
Yeah. So
but maybe because I wasn't like as interested.
Yeah, I think when we sold our homes, it was more like, let's just sell it. Like, let's just move. And then it was like,
I think we sold in like 2 days. Or something.
It was like
so
list. List. Offer accepted in 2 days. We're in escrow on day 4, and then it closed like 25 days later or something like that.
Spoiled.
So it was pretty easy process. But
process.
anyway, if you are interested in selling your home, here's some great information from the interview. I'm gonna dive right in. So we're gonna jump right over to that. And again, just bear with us here.
Listing your home is obviously call a professional. You do want to make sure that you are getting a qualified real estate agent. You want to interview those agents just like you would interview any type of vendor, landscaper, painter. You want to make sure that real estate agent is going to fit your needs. After that, we want to go ahead and get it show ready, meaning that we want to declutter the home. Decluttering homes meaning emptying out the surfaces, making sure that the potential new buyer is going to be able to view the home and envision their process in purchasing that home. We also want to make sure the nice items for safety is that you have your smoke detectors, your CO2 detectors, and your water heater is double strapped. We always want to make sure the home is show ready so that when we are in the market, we're going to make sure that it is always ready for buyers to come into the home at any time.
All right. We want to thank Sarah for her expertise there. And, she brought up a lot of good points, right?
Yeah, I like, my favorite point that she brought up is interviewing a professional.
Yeah. And, that's sometimes even on the lending side, we experience it all the time, right? People are trying to contact like their best friend, or it's like, oh, well, my friend does that, right?
Yeah.
Or my cousin does it.
Sometimes they're on Zillow and they're like, or wherever, and they're like, oh, I'll just, whatever. We'll just call this guy.
We'll just roll with it, right?
Yeah.
Family members are great. Somebody who, your friend, somebody you might have known, those are all great. But the real question is like, have you worked with that person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you trust them professionally to get the job done? And I think interviewing, whether you know the person or not, is super ideal and key. Because it's such a big decision. You wouldn't just accept any random lawyer if you needed one, right? Or any specialist, right? Usually, if somebody's really sick or has something rare going on, they'll go see multiple specialists, get second opinions, and that's almost as valuable. As selling your house, because it's such a large transaction. We're talking about a few $100,000. So great points there. She was talking about needing things like. I almost said lie detector, but smoke detectors and all that.
Talking about lawyers and lie detectors and what's happening here.
So
please continue.
She was talking about
Intrigued.
smoke detectors and having all those safety items down, right?
Yeah.
And all of this is in preparation for the escrow.
Yeah,
right?
I think a lot of people don't realize that it's like, well, like whatever, the smoke detector doesn't work. I'm not going to be here in a couple months anyway, but it's important, right, for those things to work.
It certainly is. And mostly because when we're ready to finance your loan, we need an appraiser to go out there, right? And that appraiser is going to assess the condition of certain things. And most importantly, the appraiser's job is to assess and evaluate the value of the property, because the bank wants to know, what's the value of this? Does it make sense, right? And with that comes protection of that value. We don't want the house going up in flames because there wasn't smoke detectors letting you know that, hey, there's smoke, and then potentially a fire coming about, right?
Yeah.
So the appraiser is going to require those things depending on your loan program, all of that stuff. So you'll make sure you want to listen to that advice because it is pretty solid.
Yeah,
right?
and I think that's also why it's important that you pick the right person, you interview people, and you work with someone that knows.
Has the experience,
Yeah,
right?
has the experience.
Has the experience and knowledge to do that. And so out of that same conversation, Sarah was talking about, you could really just tell the culture, right? And how much she values the culture and what she's in.
Of having a team leader.
Over at that Salazar group and what Alex has provided to the team. And so I pulled a little clip of that interview where she's actually giving kind of a testimony on why it's so important to work for a solid team. So let's jump into that real quick here.
It to have a team leader. So from being in the industry and not being in a team aspect, I've actually recently switched over to being on Alex's team because of all the benefits that we do have on his team. So one of the big things with being a team leader, he's there for every question, every concern. We now have an ally that is very useful in this industry with the times that are coming.
All right. Hey, Alex, how much joy do you get?
All right.
Okay.
So, it's true, right? Anytime we work for anybody, we want to get a sense that we're growing, right? That there's some type of mentorship, leadership, structure.
That there's somewhere to go,
Right.
right?
And that's always super important. We talk about David versus Goliath, right? And if you're a big YouTube podcast fan, go check out the Weekly Jargon. Our friends over there, they got a podcast going, and they talked about they talked about David versus Goliath, small businesses versus corporate retail.
Yeah.
A lot of people gravitate towards corporate retail businesses because you're going to get training, you're going to get development, right?
Yeah.
Starbucks, some people might think, oh, you're just a barista at Starbucks, but those baristas are getting this training that has been built to help them establish wonderful customer service, everything streamlined. No matter where you go in the country, if you go to a Starbucks, you can expect the same level of service, right?
Yeah.
There are bad experiences. Don't give me that, don't give me all that. Well, one time. That does occur, right? People are people, but you're going to get this structure that's super important.
And they're always doing things to better their employees, giving them resources, giving them
Yeah.
opportunities.
And we see a lot of major brokers in this area offering that to their employees. You know, Sarah really vouching for the Salazar Group there.
Yeah.
And so, of course, as you've seen Alex, kind of smile and kind of get real proud there. And he should be, because I know that he puts a lot of work into his team, and his team has had, a fair level of success. So I actually asked him about that success, and I'm going to pull up that interview right here.
I'm pretty happy, right? But on a personal level, it's just reassurance that what I am sacrificing my time for, my personal income for, my personal business for is working, right? My team members are obviously producing off of that. They're happy, they're making money, they're providing service to clients, buyers and sellers, making connections, all those kind of things. And so that makes me very proud, actually, I think it's probably a better word, it's working for them, right? And let's just do more of that.
All right. Sarah.
All right. Again, we want to thank them for that interview, and you can really
Yes,
just
thank
tell
you.
that sense of pride and joy from
Sense
all
of
the
pride
effort, right?
and joy and ownership.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's super key. So super, super cool treat talking with them, and we'll hear a little bit more from them. But again, so we're talking right now about, listing your home. We got the opportunity to speak with the Salazar Group and answer a little bit of questions about the listing side of things,
Yeah.
right? Because we deal predominantly with buyers. And we don't really get to talk to the listing, the sellers. We talk to listing agents, providing updates, but it's very, very minimal, right? And so huge opportunity for us to have those discussions. Earlier, Stephanie, I was talking about, days on market starting to, to extend a little bit, right? Inventory starting to be available. And what's the most popular question that everybody always asks?
Is right now a good time to buy?
Yeah, good.
So I have a question for you, Abel.
Yeah.
Why is right now a good time to buy?
Yeah, supply and demand. I always say this, right? Supply and demand, basic economics. Anytime there's more supply than there is demand, typically you can get a better value for those items, right? If there's high demand, low supply, then the seller typically wins because they're in a position at that point to increase their prices and be a lot more picky on who buys their product, right? They can kind of pick and choose. In today's environment, there's a lot of inventory, and there's an increasingly amount of there's inventory continuing to increase. We have builders who have been on standby who are, getting ready to ramp up on projects, all of that stuff, right? So all of that is leading to buy incentives for buyers, either coming from the sellers. There's a lot of push by a lot of lending banks, including ours, to come up with new niche products that are going to help you with your interest rates, provide you with incentives to buy today, make it easier for you to qualify, right? So all of that's going on, but ultimately it comes down to inventory, right? And we're here located in Madera, California, and there is a lot of inventory, right? There's an increasingly amount of inventory, and you guessed it. I did ask that question to the Salazar Group. What does their inventory look like?
You can read my mind? I'm leaving. I'm just kidding.
So we did ask the Salazar Group, what does their inventory look like? And here's what they had to say about that.
We do have one out on Avenue 22 that's listed for $395. That one's going to be a 2-acre parcel with a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, a little bit over 2,100 square feet house. We also have an additional listing on Olympia Road for $309,000. That is also on 2 acres. So what those bring to the tables is anyone who's looking for farm animals. In Madera County, you can have farm animals of anything over 2 acres. We have an additional listing on Short Road. That's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. The benefit of that one will still give you country living, but also you don't have to worry about a well because it is on Madera Valley Water. We have a brand new listing that just came on the market that's on Monacot. That is also a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And Alex, what was the listing price on that one?
That one's $360.
And that is a bang for its buck for being on the west side. It has the renovations on that one. We have an additional one that is in Fresno on Dakota. That is a listing that is in a cul-de-sac. It is listed for
$385.
And we have great sellers on the other end. So we have multiple listings on our side. We do have one up and coming on Riverview that will be getting out in the public shortly. Here at Salazar Group, one of the things that Alex does train us to do is always be actively looking for the next listing. So if you have a listing that you would like to list with us, give us a call at any time.
And on top of that too, we have 8 subdivisions. One right now, Carmel Homes. We're building another one right behind Lincoln School. We're building another one, I can't tell you where. In Madera, that'd be 3. One we're working on in Merced, hopefully to break ground sometime in the summertime. And then we just closed on a transaction in Friant that'll get us the rest of them in Fresno. So we are also looking at new construction in the future. We're talking like 5 years worth of new construction coming up.
All right. Alex.
All right. Lots of inventory. And again, like we stated, construction starting to ramp up, looking at summer to the end of summer, all within like a 35-mile radius of Madera, California. And if you don't know where Madera, California is, we're the heart of California.
We are.
Just north of Fresno, between Merced and Fresno. And one of the bigger counties, actually, and gateway to Yosemite. So you should know where Madera is, or you probably have
You've
zoomed
probably
through
driven
here.
through. We have
But
4 freeway
certainly
exits.
is becoming one of the more popular destinations here in the Central Valley because of affordability, because of availability, and because of people like us living here, right? People want to, be next to some
Be our
awesome
friends.
people. Speaking of confidence, right? I wrapped up the interview with the Salazar Group, and I asked Alex, I said, hey, why should people list with you, right? And with confidence, this is what he had to say.
I have the experience, almost 20 years worth of experience. I have a team that supports me as well. Resources, I'm knowledgeable, and I'm just going to get you the most amount of money for your home in the shortest amount of time. That's what I believe in. That's what I tell my clients, and that's what I deliver every single time, and that's what I tell my team, and now they're delivering every single time. Most amount of money, shortest amount of time, no fluff, no gimmicks, no games, just results.
All right. Sarah, what should somebody...
The quotes that I like when he says is, most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. And I think, when we're thinking about somebody selling their house, it very rarely is it a situation where somebody's just like, go ahead and sell it. I'm not really in a rush, right?
Yeah.
And, we deal with a lot of clients that when they're selling their house, they're trying to buy another one, and oftentimes they're putting an offer on the other one, and it's contingent that they sell their home, right? Because they need the funds from selling their home to get the new one.
Yeah.
And so,
It is important to get the
Right.
most amount of money that you can.
most amount of money in
sure.
the shortest amount of time, and
Yeah.
there is a teeter-totter to that, right? And it doesn't go like this. The scales don't tip dramatically, but there is a little bit of give that I know that exists in that within the field of selling your house. So lots of confidence coming from there, a lot of experience, things of that nature. So shout out to Alex for his continued efforts and continued growth of the team. And, like always, any guests that we have, we like to promote, their availability and the ability for you to contact them if you want more information. And so here's how they are available.
Cell phones, you can reach us on our cell phones. We also are all on social media. You can find us on each of our accounts. The biggest way to get a hold of us, it's whatever comparable to you, meaning if you like to take a phone call, we are trained to go in and speak to you on the phone call. If you like texting, we can text. If you like email, we can email. The biggest thing, we're available at any time. Just give us a call. As a realtor, we don't sleep.
Our phone number is 559-479-4612, or our website is thesalazargroup.re.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and YouTube.
All right. And again, we want to thank Mr. Alex Salazar and Sarah Turner. With the Salazar Group, powered by RE/MAX Gold, located here in Madera, California. All of their continued efforts within the community, and of course their willingness to be on our show. If you are an expert in particular area, or if you'd like to come share some information, reach out. We'd be happy to have you. We can do an on-site interview or bring you in here to the studio and have you join us and maybe sit in the middle while we beat you up a little bit. Nah, we're not
No,
nice. I
definitely.
mean, we're not mean. We're
We're
really
not nice. You're not. I'm nice.
I'm exposing us here. All right. Cool. Well, Stephanie, today, again, we talked about the all-in-one, how it's helping investors because of its ability to, or because of its willingness to only allow you to pay interest only.
Yeah.
And that's huge. We talked about the Salazar Group, right? And all the information that they provided. We shared that directly with
selling
you.
a home.
When selling a home. News to us, and I'm sure news to many of you viewers. But the best thing that you can do to support Stephanie and I is like, subscribe, and of course, reach out to us with any mortgage finance needs. We'd be happy to do so. Put my business card again right there.
Maybe I'll
so
point it
yeah, we'll point at it like that. There you go. We're on point. So reach out to us. Be happy to serve you and or your friends and family members with mortgage finance needs. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the MLO Show. Take care.
Bye.